guys, welcome back to We Watch Movie. I'm Mike.
I'm Jay.
And we've got another script review for you guys. As you guys know, and you can find it in our history, we've done in the books, the annals of history.
In our bibliography. That's not out. Because no one gives a shit.
We've done script reviews from Halloween 4, the original Halloween 4 script, the Halloween Return script that was never made, Halloween 3D. We did the Resident Evil script by George Romero that was never done. Today we've got a special one for you. We're doing a lot of Nightmare videos this week. Fun times at Ridgemont High.
Hot night, somewhere in the city.
Someone in there looks so pretty.
God, dude. That's what happens when you snort coke off somebody's dick.
Yeah, it does. So, yeah, forgive me, guys. I'm sick. I sound like shit. But our friend Eric sent us this script, and he sent it with this letter. It says, "Hey, Jay and Mike, I've been watching your video since 2013.
Oh.
Fuck, we've been doing this for a long time. Your channel is the only one I come back to time and time again. Thank yous. The first video I ever saw of your guys was top 10 best 80s movies list. Damn,
oh, yeah, I remember that. That was a long-ass time ago.
I love that when I watched your videos, it felt like I was hanging out with my friends. That's what we feel like, too, man.
Every time.
For sure. When I was in college, I would always go to the library, do my homework, but I would always load up on your videos, listen to them because they would make me laugh.
And you did good in school because of it, right?
Right? No! Because I felt like I was a kid again sitting in my house watching horror movies with my friends on a summer night. Dude, that's the coolest thing ever, man. That's fucking awesome. That's what doing this channel reminds me of. It's the first time I ever watched this movie, the first time I watched any Nightmare movie was when we rented it. You showed it to me for the first time that I'd never seen it before. So that's
good.
Ironic that we're doing Nightmare 3 today.
You want to share Nightmare with me?
Oh, and speaking of which, by the way, I have to throw your brother Cody a shout out because the Patriots beat the Packers. Fuck you, Cody. I was trying to decide. It was a bet. I lost. I was trying to decide what to send you guys, and I wanted it to be something you guys would find really cool. So I've sent you guys a copy of Wes Craven's original Nightmare on Elm Street 3, the Dream Warrior script.
I was fucking excited as fuck when I saw it.
I would love it if you guys did a review of it because I would love to hear your thoughts. I know it isn't much, but I wanted to send something. Keep on doing what you guys do best. Your friend Eric. Dude, that's the kind of great shit, man.
Yeah, it's amazing. Thank you so much.
That's a lot, man. That's badass. So, Nightmare on Elm Street 3. The whole story behind this is that they approached Wes Craven. He said, yeah, I'll write the script for it. He couldn't direct it because he was doing another film, I think Deadly Friend. I think that's the name of the movie at that time. So he's like, I did write it, though. He wrote it, and they took what he did, and they didn't really like it that much. And they were like, well, 70% of the new script is this guy's. We maybe kept like 30% of his stuff, but this script is fucking good.
And not to mention the fact that I think it also had a lot to do with the fact that what he wrote, it's amazing, by the way. I mean, I really did it's Wes Craven and he did a great job, but it was because it was so out of the realm of budget that they were going for. Like, he wrote certain effects in the film that they were like, we don't have the money for that. There's no fucking way we can do that. We had to cut that. He's like, well, you know what? Go fuck yourself then. I'm trying to make something to make something. And then they're like, no, fuck you, Wes. He's like, well, I'll go make Scream. So that's what happened. But I mean, again, this script written by Wes Craven, I think
Bruce Wagner.
And Bruce Wagner, it really encompasses like what they were going for in a New Nightmare, but in a way that makes sense. I like New Nightmare a lot, Wes Craven's New Nightmare, but this one, you know, when Wes Craven says in a New Nightmare, he's like, well, he's more vicious and more mean. He is all those things in this script, and it's not just that he's mean and evil and corrupt and just nasty. He does crack jokes, but he doesn't talk as much as he does in Nightmare 3, the original movie that came out. There's elements of him that remind you, there is a comedic side to him, but the way that Wes writes him, it's kind of like, not only is there a comedy side, but it's like really twisted fucking black comedy. And he used kids that were younger than what you saw in the original Nightmare 3.
Wes totally ignored Nightmare 2, which we like Nightmare 2.
I do like it.
But what Wes Craven said about that script was, he's like, I thought it was inferior. I told him I didn't want to do the movie. And then the director of Nightmare 2 was like, well, I didn't like Nightmare.
There was so much salt. Yeah. Let's fight with broken bottles.
So, and then this one comes out, and in my opinion, they use a lot more than 30% of this script in that movie. There's some of the main parts of this script are in that movie.
They don't just use a lot of this script for the movie. They spread the whole thing out over a various series of the film. I mean, there's one specific scene when Neil is talking to Nancy and says, you know, Nancy says, does this town have an Elm Street? He's like, well, every town has an Elm Street, I'm sure. That was from Freddy 6. Every town has an Elm Street, which he says. I mean, that was fucking badass.
And there's parts of this that they use for Halloween or for Nightmare 5 too. The child stuff. So it starts out and it starts with a woman's pregnant belly. Like if you remember the original Nightmare, it starts with.
So it's Maury Povich.
It starts with Patricia Arquette making that house that you see, and you'll see that in here too. But it starts with a woman's pregnant belly. And a guy crying on the ground screaming, "No, it ain't mine!
It ain't mine, Maury! Fuck!"
But I'll read it to you exactly how it starts out. It's crazy. A woman's pregnant belly. Next moment, a tiny fetal hand tipped with nascent steel claws jabs up out of the belly and rips out, splitting the woman asunder.
I told you it wasn't mine.
From down under.
Outback.
We hear the ungodly shriek and see the infant Freddy glistening in dripping blood and placental goo.
Oh, God damn it!
Rear up into frame, glaring directly into camera with blazing eyes and fierce teeth. And then the camera zooms out all the way up into fucking space and it faces down on this house.
It sounds like an amazing scene. And I think it would be one of those scenes that you would see opening because of how gory it would be. You'd be like, okay, now we in the shit. Now we in the shit. Welcome to Nam.
I do notice it doesn't start with the typical subtitle.
No.
With like a quote or anything.
It's straight in.
And they actually go through various large cities and they show all these pictures of missing children. And there's a radio blurb about suicide rates. Freddy's been busy as fuck. He's been fucking kids up.
He's working that overtime. He's getting that time and a half.
He's getting that thumb with thumb with.
Thumb with thumb watch. Where's my thumb with thumb watch? That's what he wants to know. He's just going around asking. He's like, have you seen thumb with thumb watch?
One of the main differences this script does is it introduces you to Heather early and often. She's the main point of this one, in my opinion.
Which again is an amazing idea. Again, I think that this is way before 2018 Halloween, obvious, but I think they're focusing her on in a way that they did in 2018 with Jamie Lee Curtis. She's the hero.
Yeah,
that's what they're focusing on. So
they show her driving on a street, and she picks up a hitchhiker, and the hitchhiker is she's a super weird chick. She's walking around with no
beautiful
shoes.
Red hair.
She barely speaks to her, and she's like, Nancy says, "What's your name?" Again, nothing. Where are you going? The hitcher, down. Nancy, down where? Hitcher, down where he fucks you.
Oh, so you're from Vegas.
Oh.
Hey, I haven't been out that way.
Eastern Kentucky. So that's weird. Like that lets you know this
we're going
script,
down.
down where he fucks you. This script is
I mean, okay, if you picked up a random hitchhiker and the first thing, and she's all weird anyway, and then she's like, I gotta go down where he fucks you. Like, get out of my car.
Can you work overtime today, Mike? No, I gotta go. I got things to do. It's like, what are you doing? I gotta go down where he fucks me.
Oh, you ate Taco Bell.
Yeah,
okay.
I gotta go down where he fucks me.
Gotcha.
No big deal. Mind your business. It moves on, and all of a sudden, the dreams start happening. Freddy, the first kill is the hitcher. Freddy shows up like a fucking snake and takes her way up into a fucking tree, and in the nastiest of ways, with a sudden explosion of tempered glass, the windshield blows out, and as the startled girl snaps around and opens her mouth to scream, a razored hand shoves itself straight into her mouth. Like a hand controlling a puppet.
Who you talking to, bitch?
It lifts her first up, then back and out of the car with great ease right through the shattered windshield. The hand with its long snake-like arm drags the girl towards a nearby tree, and it just shoots her up into the fucking tree.
Yeah, and I think that he describes it as a python would be taking its prey up into the tree to feast on it.
Yeah,
dude, the visual of that is amazing. And again, this is where I think that they were having the studios were like, we cannot afford this shit. Do you not understand that we got our funding from eating a bunch of Cracker Jack boxes? We can't do it. And Wes is like, well, fuck. I mean, if you want my vision, it's gotta cost you.
They did such a better job with John Saxon's character, Nancy's dad, in this than they did in the third movie.
He was actually way more relatable and cooler because
that one they just found him as a drunk security guard.
Well, there was one moment where she mentions that she is looking for him, and he's like, well, he's been traveling around the country looking for Freddy Krueger or looking for his remains or something. We don't know that until later on in the script, but Nancy says to Neil at one point, she's like, a lot of people have described him differently. They say he was a hardened cop, then he was kind of a lost wanderer, and then he became a drunk, and then, he slowly de-evolves into just a drunken mess looking for Freddy Krueger.
He's basically the dude that picks up Loomis in Halloween 4.
Yeah, well, it would just be me looking for a date.
Pilgrim.
Looking for a date. I start off very strong, and then after a while, I'm on Tinder. I'm like, let's fucking swipe right.
Crying, using his own tears as lubrication.
Swipe right.
Masturbates.
Every morning I wake up and just jack off and cry at the window.
She finds her dad in the middle of this dream state. She finds her dad in this house, and he's talking about, I burned him, I've got him where he's supposed to be or whatever. You see Freddy's arm dangle, and then it runs away, and that's when it goes and kills the girl.
So Nancy runs to this ranch house, by the way. So
yeah, and that's where all this stuff's taking place, and it's crazy. He's talking about like, oh, you can't let him get away. If you close your eyes for a second, he gets away. John Saxon's character literally takes his eyeballs, he takes his eyelids and fucking cuts them off.
God damn, Dad, how much vodka did you drink today? I mean, and the way they describe it too is, by the way, it's fucking brutal. Like, it's just gruesome the way that he cuts his own eyelids off. Actually, I think they mentioned that in the original Nightmare 3. They did. In the original Nightmare 3 film, Neil says that one of the kids cut their own eyelids to stay awake.
Yeah.
So they did borrow that. They just didn't show it. Again, Wes Craven has no problem taking you right into the vagina. Let's get a baby. Like from the very beginning, it's like right in
He's
there.
going to be a soccer player.
Oh,
yes, he is. Yes, he is.
He ain't mine.
So we move on. Nancy wakes up from the dream, and this is where you get introduced to Neil, who's a fucking douchebag.
He is douchey.
In Nightmare 3, he's a huge douchebag.
He's not douchey in this too.
This describes him in his 20s, but I pictured the
Late
Neil
20s,
from the movie the entire
and
time.
He's very rapey. Like,
Yeah.
he's just very fucking rapey.
Super fucking rapey. But he just pulls along the side of the road and sees that her axle's broken. She's all fucked up. She's talking about a hitcher, and he's like, "What are you talking about, crazy bitch? You're crazy. You're completely out of it. Let me take you home and stay at my place, and I'll try to fuck you." The script's kind of confusing on this because eventually she becomes his assistant at the hospital.
That's what I never got. I don't
like. She going there to do that?
Are you supposed to get like a credential?
Here's your deputy badge, doofus.
No, it's like, I have a degree. It's from Phoenix University online.
From DeVry. But yeah, one way or another, I don't know if she was on her way to the hospital to be his assistant, or he's like, no, she's with me, she's cool, and she's all of a sudden a doctor. I don't know.
The way the script read, she never had any intention other than just tracking her father down. She didn't even have any kind of, I would think, schooling as far as psychiatry.
So in that aspect, the movie does a better job. Because she at least has a reason to be there working with these kids.
She has a background, because when Neil meets her, he's like, well, why don't you just come along to the hospital with me? I work there, and then I'll drop you off somewhere else. And then he's like, oh, she's my assistant.
Yeah, and then he's like, isn't she beautiful?
Fuck. You've got problems.
Yeah, it's weird, and it is rapey, you're right. But while she's staying at his house, at first he doesn't put the moves on or anything. She's sleeping at his house, and you get your first dream scream.
Cream dream. Oh, I should have watched not Pornhub.
Yeah, so the hitchhiker comes back. She's floating above her bed. Her hair fucking comes off her scalp and starts to
That
choke
part, that
Nancy.
scared me, dude.
It's
the way
crazy,
that it's
man.
described, like the hitcher from earlier when Nancy picked her up, floats above her bed. She has her hands or her head in her hands, and then she's like, he took my beautiful hair, and then her hair like scalps off and falls onto Nancy.
Scalps.
And then this thing is like floating above her, like getting close to her face. Then Neil bursts in. And he's like, "What's going on?" And then she's like, "Help me, Neil!" And Neil runs over.
It's my money, and I need it now.
Fuck yeah! Where's it at, bitch? I know you got it under your pillow. And starts smacking her around, and then goes down to her legs, like straddles her, and is going down. And then it's again a scene they used in the Nightmare 3 film, just different time and a different way. Yeah. He becomes Freddy Krueger and starts eating her feet and starts sinking toward. And he's like, "Give me some head."
Yeah, it's a cool scene, man. As Nancy watches in horror, Neil's lower jaw dislocates, drops slowly towards the bedclothes, his skin stretching grotesquely like
what that mouth do though?
Taffy. Neil fastens his gaping mouth on. Damn, Neil, why you be gaping?
You love them feet.
He fastens his gaping mouth on Nancy's feet like an anaconda and slowly begins to envelop her legs, her hips devouring her whole. WHOLE, you guys. You sick fucks. Pop, 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 pop.
Ding, ding, turkey's done.
Nancy screams helplessly as Neil, the snake, bumps up against her chin, and we see that his face is transformed to that of Freddy, which, as you said, is the scene where you actually see him in the dreamland in the third one. With only her head left to devour, he looks at her and laughs. Now give Freddy a little head.
I won't do it, Fred.
That's a great Freddy line right there.
It was cool, and the scene sounds like it's... You know what? I like the scene in the original Nightmare 3 with Kirsten being the one enveloped by this snake, Freddy, but that one, just because the transition from like the ghost girl, kind of like Tina in the first Nightmare on Elm Street movie, and then doing this, floating above her bed, like all fucked up and scary looking. This might have been like one of those like, holy shit, this is happening.
I basically, man.
Shut that shit.
Nancy goes on to have a dream later on where she actually goes back into the house and you see infant Freddy, which is fucking weird too. It's just like tiny little Freddy running around doing shit.
I can't see with this thing on.
At one point, Freddy's like, "Oh, mama!"
Oh, mama, did you bring the ragu sauce?
He suddenly swells into the proportions of Freddy the man, his room swelling in the size
I can see that.
and him with it.
Yeah.
Nancy crashes back against the wall of the hallway, nearly falling. The hall is so crazily tilted now, and she is shrinking, which is pretty creepy.
I think that's like an Alice in Wonderland falling down the rabbit hole, and the fact that you would see Freddy rise up out of this infant as the man, and then the reality warp around him, kind of like the Matrix when Neo goes. And like, you know how the walls like do this shit, and then the agents are like, no, I'm not gonna fuck with that. He just bit reality. He bit reality. I feel like that would, like, in my mind, I'm imagining him growing up to a man size and doing that shit, and then her doing that out. Man, it would have been a great scene. Again, a lot of money. That's a lot of budget.
And in this,
a lot of cookie.
In this script, there's a lot of Freddy going into the real world and coming out of it. The house this house in the middle of nowhere is John Saxon's character explains this later on, that the house is like the home of his dreamland, right? So this house sits there,
it's
and
the entrance to it.
Yeah, and Freddy in a weird way can exist in real life and in the dreamland, which is a little bit confusing. But at one point, you see the house, and this is a pretty cool, like, just imagine what this would look like. They explain it as its glass begins to stretch out as if made of warm plastic until the shape of Freddy can be discerned. He's pushing out of the window the way a fist would stretch out of rubber or plastic. Freddy seems to be a part of the house. He is the house, and he watches their car
I've seen this video on Pornhub.
as they drive away. But you imagine Freddy coming through the wall.
Yeah.
Like, imagine that being a fucking house. That's some crazy shit.
Well, because they were saying that Freddy is like he is the house, so he is the gatekeeper of that particular portal. And John Saxon's character would be saying, to get to Freddy's pain, to get to that hellscape that he calls the dream world, you have to go through that.
And you have to go there and you have to burn it.
Yeah.
And burning it, we find out, doesn't work. You actually have to burn Freddy alive inside the house, and that's how you kill him. Which to me is way more cool than the mystical fucking, the story.
Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah.
I did enjoy that, but
I did miss the mom storyline in this one, though. Like with the nurse, or not the nurse, but the nun in white.
Amanda Kruger.
I liked Amanda Kruger's storyline in the movie versus kind of what they did here. That's a wild slasher backstory.
But
and I missed that.
Yeah, because they really don't give I guess that made sense in some way. Like, well, that's why Freddy Krueger was born so fucked up. There was 1,000 different maniacs that raped his mom, and that would, of course, maybe instill evil. I'm not saying that would be the case every time. I'm not saying that,
but it's a wild concept.
But it's a wild concept that works. The fact that you don't really have any background, he's just born evil. So born immediately with fucking glove like, I'd like to fucking kill you and eat Oreos.
All you know is that when he is born in this house, he does kill his mom on the way
they call
out.
it matricide, which it is.
Matricide.
Matricide. Mattress.
Why don't you read a fucking book?
Because they're boring. I like pop-ups.
But going to the kids, like we do go, Nancy, just like in the story before, she goes to the hospital with Neil and she becomes his sexy assistant or whatever, somehow out of nowhere. The nurse is still there. She's a little bit less pronounced in the script, but you've got pretty much the same core kids. Kincaid's still the same. He's still the guy with the strength.
Attitude.
Taryn's character she's
way different.
She's a black girl in this, and she's not. That one thing they forego is they don't, and I like this because I hate this about Nightmare 3. Like there's a lot, like I love the institution scenes of Nightmare 3. I've always hated when they go underground or whatever. When they go into Freddy Land, she's like, I'm beautiful and bad.
Oh.
And the Dungeons and Dragons.
Your Instagram posts are lies.
I could just do without all that. Now this script does do some fantastical things where they all like hold hands and disappear into the dream world, but it doesn't go that MTV fucking crazy.
Well, and also the fact that, again, and I think that he intended that, Wes Craven, even in the original Nightmare, I don't know if it was because they were like, studios aren't going to get behind this if you make them too young. Taryn in this is 13 years old. I'm pretty sure she's a 13-year-old child. And they made her that young, and a lot of these kids are between 13 and 15, so they're not. I was thinking when I was reading it, the characters play out, except for Kincaid, I think he's 17. They describe him as a very 250-pound dude.
And he's pretty much spot on in the script for the movie.
And like I think that they're a mixture between maybe 13 and 17, but the younger kids, I think maybe they were always afraid that, hey, we can't do this. But I was always thinking, like, again, when I was reading it, it was like the Losers Club or something, taking on Pennywise.
Yeah.
And I mean, if you made it, like, I guess the reason why they were like, I don't want to do this is because Freddy Krueger is a pedophile. Like, that's what he is. And I think they were like thinking, like, the sensibilities on some of this, we got to be real careful with how we handle these situations. You make them that young, even though you can cast great child actors to do it might be like, oh, fuck. I need to get my car washed. I gotta leave the fucking speed early.
There's one character in the script that's not in the movie, and that's Laredo's character.
No, Laredo is in the movie. They just changed his name. He's the wizard guy.
But in this one, in the dream world, he turns into a giant gargoyle. Which
so he does employ the fact that he does have the Dungeons and Dragons campaign thing going, and the fact that he was like, I can be a gargoyle if I want. Yeah. What if you just became a giant dick and slapped him in the face a bunch of times? Also, like if you slapped Freddy in the face.
I'm a big old dick.
I'm gonna put my dick and I'm gonna hit you with my mic and the dick. DMX.
Something that would be in my dream world. I would be a giant dick. So yeah, that's one character I like better in the movie. I'll say that. I like that character better in the movie than I did here. But again, they don't do the fantastical, let's be the Suicide Squad. Magical Suicide Squad, go!
Well, they do that in this one, yeah.
They don't do it the same way. It's not so pronounced, and I do enjoy that more about the script. But Philip's character is still the same. He still dies the same death. Going on, another thing that I liked about the movie more than the script. In the script, Philip's character, he dies the same way, except for Freddy's puppeteering him, and he's moving him through the hallways. Whereas in the movie, he's got the crazy tendon scenes, which is one of the best kills in horror of all time.
I hate that fucking scene.
That scene just fucking nailed it, and the script isn't as good. They did a better job with that scene, so you got to give them credit for that. But what they are missing with Taryn is, Taryn has a cool death scene in this. She's a completely different character, but in this, she wakes up in class, and in this script, she wakes up, and her grandmother's there, and she's like, "Let me hold you, baby." And then Freddy splits her grandmother open, and then takes Taryn and shoves her inside of her fucking split grandmother, and it's grotesque as shit. But Taryn's death in the movie, I think, still takes the nod because that.
Let's get high.
Oh, what a rush! That was still cool.
Well, it was cool.
You would have never got the needle glove.
This thing was going in such a different route. The scene where she dies with Freddy posing as her grandmother, I still was down with it. It was still fucking
it was
crazy.
A good scene.
Yeah, and the fact that Freddy's like, Taryn, the thing about you is sometimes you're hard to stomach. And like he pulls her in like that, and then like they said that Freddy gets frustrated because it's taking too long to digest her, so he cuts her foot off. He's like, fuck,
and like throws it down the fucking hallway too.
So again, it's a really cool scene as far as like visually, like realizing what it could have been if they had gone a different direction with Taryn. But yeah, the one where he has like the heroin fingers or whatever and sticks it into her like sucker holes, and he's like, like it's still. But I think they went in some way. I think to balance out in the film some of the more crazier shit that was going on was to make it comedy.
Yeah.
And when he's doing that, it's almost in a way a release for the audience, because when you make it too fucking graphic and scary, people are like,
I got to turn some video.
I've never seen the vagina. But if you make it comedy or something, they're like, oh, okay, I'm relaxed. Yeah. So I think that's what because this thing, again, this script, fucking amazing. I love Wes Craven for what he did with this. It was very brutal, very straight to the point, and very out of character for what Freddy was known for out of Nightmare 3, the original film.
Yeah, he's calling people cunts. He calls Neil a faggot at one point.
Yeah.
He actually says that, which back at this time, that wouldn't have been such a weird thing. But reading it today, it's like, damn, son.
Yeah, well, there's one part where he even says, "Welcome home, Nancy," and then he's like, "And you too, you juicy little bitch." Yeah. It's like, oh my god,
your tits are so juicy, bro.
Yeah, I was like thinking the same thing. He's gonna call her a juicy little bitch. But here's the thing about Neil, though. I didn't like, Neil was all right. Like Neil is like such a stage 10 clinger. Because there's a lot of things that Nancy's doing that's fucking crazy. And like, if you're a psychiatrist and you're supposed to help these kids, you're really doing a shitty job, because you're like, I want that vagina.
Yeah.
I don't care about kids. Yeah. I want that vagina.
So there's elements of that in the movie too.
Well, there is, but not so much in this one. Especially when he gets to the dream world. Because
I want to fuck you. Let me get some of that.
Neil actually goes to the dream world in this, as opposed to the original film. And when he's there, he was like, "Nancy, I just want to hold you. Come here. Come to me. Let me hold you." It's like being in a TV set, because it's like super reality.
He's all excited about it.
I'm like, what the fuck? How much ecstasy did you trip, bitch?
This is my work. I've been waiting to find something like this all my life. And she's like, "Bitch, you don't know Freddy. Freddy,
don't even know Freddy."
Yeah, there's
Freddy's my boyfriend.
He's kind of weird like that in this, but yeah, in the movie and the script, he's like, "Let's take out many hypnoseals and see if we can fuck before we fall asleep."
Oh yeah, that sounds like a great idea.
That's from role models, but so Jennifer's character dies the exact same way in the script as she does the movie. Except the exact same way, except for the classic.
Welcome to Primetime.
Welcome to Primetime, bitch, which is the one line in the series that was ad-libbed by Robert.
Did you like Did you like the new one, the original one?
Not as much.
He's like lights out, and then he pulls her in.
Yeah. But again, you can't give the new scriptwriters credit for that either, because that's the one line that Robert Englund did add. He ad-libbed that.
That was really good. Yeah.
Yeah. Welcome to Primetime, bitch is always way better, but So as we move on, instead of going the route that the movie went, what this one does is her dad's kind of leading her along. He's a lot more pronounced.
He's very Yoda.
Script. Yeah, and he tells her at one point, he says, and I like this a lot better than what ended up happening with the confusion and how they ended up bringing the kids into being the dream warriors. Don't wanna dream no more. I like
dream warriors.
I like this because when shit starts to get crazy and it reaches that point in this, she's talking to her dad and he explains to her what she needs to do.
The thing about John is John is aware of what Freddy is, and he's using that knowledge to help Nancy and gather her compatriots. And there's also a little unique thing that I like about this script as well. The fact that all these kids have come from different parts of the country and they've all survived. It's like they all were gathering together for an ultimate showdown with Freddy Krueger, and that's why he calls them Dream Warriors. I mean, they don't really go into the script of how John knew all this stuff. I mean, you do know that John had been for years looking for Freddy, so maybe he had done research on Dream Warriors.
Loomis.
Yeah, it's pretty much. So he had done the research on what Dream Warriors were, but he was like, they all came from different parts of life and they survived because there was something about them that couldn't be killed by Freddy, and they're all here gathered together, congregated, waiting for their general, which was Nancy. So that was a really cool way explaining why they all kind of congregate in that one moment to meet each other.
Dude, John Saxon being Freddy's Loomis is such a better storyline for such a good actor than what they did for him, just making him drunk security guard who bitch-ass Neil
What's wrong with
out.
drunk security guard?
You might not care about what happens to Nancy, but I do!
God damn you! Get your goddamn hands off her!
What they did in this was way better with his character. But yeah, so he basically is telling her what she needs to do, and like you said, you don't really know, but he's just kind of this crazy, you're a pilgrim, ain't you? Just this wild fucking character.
I loved it though.
Who's been hunting because he took his wife and he ruined his daughter's life. And his character's a lot more pronounced, and that's really cool. But Joey's in this, he dies the exact same way. That's another thing they took.
But he does talk.
Yeah, they don't do that whole thing. And the girl isn't a nurse; she's a girl that he wanted to fuck in high school.
Yeah.
So, but really, I mean,
we're jumping around, but I do want to really go back to one scene specifically that I like. That Kirsten, when she is released from the hospital, she does get released from the hospital early on. Her mom is still a bitch hole, and her dad's an asshole because you never saw the dad, and they're both like uppity, like very debutante people. But she goes to school. She goes back to high school and kind of like is trying to reintegrate herself into the high school social scene, and the people are making fun of her or whatever, but she's still exploring.
It's a classic 80s high school.
It's really cool. The scene played out really well, and then she's in class, and again, it's a throwback to Nightmare 1, when one guy's reading from a sonnet, and he starts slowing down, he starts reading like really weird shit, and the way the voice sounds, but Kirsten gets up in the dream and is able to take off this mean girl's like half her dress and her boobs exposed, and then wakes up. But in the real world, when they wake up both screaming, or not Kirsten, but the other girl screaming, her tit is popped out and they all laugh. So Kirsten finds out that she can affect real life or real world events through her dreams, which I think is a cool little scene. It's a small little part of the script, but it's really well done. I also like the scene that they were gonna send Kirsten to a St. Agatha's all-girls school, Catholic school.
Yeah, and all the girls had their wrists cut.
Yeah, but Freddy does a crucifixion and it causes a stigmata on her, and then when she's floating through the hallways, Freddy bursts out at one point. He's like, "Did you cross yourself?" And he does the Zorro thing with. I mean, again,
and he cuts his own chest and like pus comes out.
Yeah, and guts. Again, it was very visually stunning. As far as like reading it, I would have loved to have seen that on screen.
You can definitely sense Wes Craven's the Freddy from Nightmare 1 and the grotesqueness of him is totally in this script, all the way on top and bottom. And one thing about the character of Laredo, he does have a cool death scene. The next second, Freddy roars out of the doorway of the gas-powered post hole digger, driving the giant screw straight in the back of Laredo. The whirling bit drills straight through the startled boy, spinning out of his chest. And Freddy screams, "Screw you!"
I love it. That's really
beautiful.
Funny.
Freddy kill.
And I think he picks him up like this, and he like continues down the hallway. And you can kind of see him apparating out, like in and out, like as Nancy and Neil are watching this. It's fucking, dude, that scene, because you imagine, like, you see, Loretto, like, going through, like with his thing sticking out of his fucking chest, and then in and out, Freddy appearing and disappearing. Kind of what they did, one of the cool scenes, and I didn't like the remake, one of the better scenes in Nightmare, the remake, is when they're in the grocery store or whatever, and you see Freddy coming in and out of the real world. It's like flickering. That's exactly what they were going
Micro
for.
naps.
When he was flickering in and out in that aisleway and he slashes down, that's what I was seeing.
And Kincaid's death scene was gnarly as fuck, because in this he dies. He doesn't die in the original one.
Sucked.
And if you look at where he dies in Nightmare 4, this is way better what they do here. I would have rather them killed him this way. But at some point they hold hands and they go into Freddy's dream house and they decide to fight this kid. There is a cool line there where they say about all the kids, they're like, there's a reason that all these other kids are killing themselves and getting blamed for killing themselves when really it's Freddy. They're like, the special thing about you guys, you're all fucked up and you're in a mental institution, but the same thing that makes you fucked up to the rest of the world is the thing that gives you the strength to survive Freddy. And I thought that was a really, really cool, like, real life
sounds like
squeeze.
It sounds like good Charlotte lyrics.
But I thought that was a really...
Do you want to be another trend?
It was a really cool thing, though. Like, I enjoyed it.
Well written.
Like you guys are tough enough to do this because you've been through some shit, and that was pretty neat. But they go through all this stuff, and in the middle of it, they're going back and forth trying to bring Freddy into the real world, and at some point, Kincaid ends up stuck between, everybody else tumbles through the wall into the real world. Kincaid ends up stuck halfway in the wall, in the middle of it, and Freddy literally rips him open from the back ass and comes out of his fucking mouth and rips him apart into the real world, which you know had to be a crazy fucking scene.
I do like leading up to that scene because Freddy, when Freddy comes into the real world, he kills Kirsten's mother, by the way, and it's very, like, I know that Wes Craven wasn't a fan of Freddy 2, but it felt very Freddy 2 because when Kirsten is able to yank them out of the dreamscape and into her own house, Freddy comes with her and like slices her fucking mom up, like guts her and shit, and then he's like running around looking at all this debutante party going on, and he's like, you know, it's very Freddy 2 when Freddy is out in the real world, and then when they retreat to the study and Kincaid gets the gun and he like slashes the, you know, he shoots Freddy, and then Freddy's like, fuck that, and it's coming through the door. It was just very Freddy 2, Nightmare on Elm Street 2, but it also, there was one scene specifically, it's kind of like foreshadowing, he's like, Kincaid, your asshole's mine. Like, and he does, dude. Like, he goes through Kincaid's asshole up to his mouth. Like,
yeah.
Because, again, Kirsten's not experienced with this, so when she pulls them again from this, so she's able to able literally to Nightcrawler them anywhere she wants to go. Like, like she can go to dreams, but she can also teleport you to wherever you want.
It's a weak part of the script too, because early in the script she's running around with Nancy, and Nancy somehow knows, and she's like, "Hey, just wish you were at a fucking IHOP," and she's like, "I wish I was in an IHOP." So then she's at an IHOP. So it's like, if you're that powerful, why couldn't you just use that the whole fucking time?
I mean, why don't you just teleport Freddy to fucking the moon?
Another scene that's weak is the same thing in the original when she just goes, "You know what? I'm gonna turn my back to you. I don't believe in you," and Freddy's gone. She does that in this script too. At one point she goes, "Oh wait, even though everyone's died and all my bad ideas, I forgot I knew all along how to stop Freddy.
I should have smoked that pot."
You just have to turn your back to him, and it's like
memory.
He's not even there. So she turns it, and but then they forget that again, and they have to go through another solution. So that's a weak point, but you know, whatever. Live and learn. But yeah, the scene where he does kill her mom though is badass because he rips her open and he's like pulling her fucking innards up into the sky and then like just ripping through them. That shit was dope.
It sounded amazing. We say that it looked amazing because it's in our fucking brains. It reads so well. It's like a fucking watching a movie. It's done really well.
Oh yeah. But then again, if you told me that Freddy, if I never saw Nightmare 3 and you told me that Freddy turned into a giant snake and was eating someone, I'm like, that's just stupid.
That's stupid, dog.
Stupid, dog.
God damn.
Why
man.
you gonna do that?
Why you gonna be fucking dumb?
Even in Nightmare 3, it looked dope as fuck.
It does.
And he's like, "You." It's like, "Oh shit!"
And then, like as soon as you say that, you walk out there like, "Dude, that was dope as shit." Like, why am I like talking dog shit about it?
Okay. Oh yeah. I like that the way he wrote Kincaid though. He was like, "A fucking AR-14. All right.
All right.
And by the way, when they mention Lawrence Fishburne's character in the script, he's like a big burly black man. I was like, damn. The scene with Kincaid though. Kincaid. He's got my legs. Oh God. He's going in me with his hand. He's going inside me. Oh God.
Okay. You know what? That is the literal Lockdown Raw episode 87
of Oz
in the shower.
And then the razor claws, which entered Kincaid in one world, now emerge from his mouth like a curious metal insect. The others back off instinctively. Kincaid is dead.
Well, I didn't think he was going to survive it. That sound, again, imagine that shit happening on screen would have fucking looked amazing.
Yeah. You get to the penultimate scenes, and what happens in this one, it kind of, in a way, it ends a lot of the same way the movie ends with Wes Craven's script, in that Nancy's there, they all fight him off, they go through their whole thing, they don't do the Dream Warrior thing to the extent the movie did it, but it ends penultimately the same way, whereas Freddy shows up and Nancy stabs him with the glove, but he also reaches up and stabs her at the same time. But she's dying.
Taking the guise of her father.
And literally, verbatim, Kirsten's character walks up to her and gives the exact same speech. "I'll do it, Nancy. You can count on me, but I won't let you die. I won't. I'm going to dream you, or I'm going to dream you. I'm going to dream you into a beautiful dream forever, forever." Yeah. Now, the script capitalizes on that moment more than the movie does, and we'll get to that. But so the ending comes up, and the ending's very different, and I'm just going to read it straight off the page so that you guys can get the idea from it. The flames become phantom flames as the house itself seems to become newer, cleaner, younger, until it's the same house we saw at the beginning of the film, and the fast zoom back from the terrible infant ripping its mother.
Move that bus!
You remember the crazy scene in the beginning where it starts with a baby and it goes up to the sky? We're back in that moment now, so it's kind of a cool, like, open-close chapter. Kirsten stands now confident, possessed, and walks slowly towards the house. A woman screams and an inhuman infant's wail grow louder as she gets closer. Kirsten enters the house and we see the familiar living room, but now it's furnished with pieces from the 40s. An old radio blares a 40s tune that mingles sickly with the horrid screams of the woman, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
I dig that. Then the screams are cut off by what can only be heard as the woman's death. The house is horribly quiet. Kirsten starts up the stairs, her face cold, determined. Kirsten takes out the dirty rag, empties the sooty, still gleaming blades into her hands because she picked up the blades left behind from Freddy's love and wrapped them in a napkin.
She shanked that shit.
It's a spork. She then folds the rag around their ends, making a knife. Kirsten enters. The woman lays beneath the bloody sheets, her hair flung over her white, motionless face. She's dead. Dead as fuck. Doesn't say that.
I didn't do it.
Curtain, because they forgot the S.
I didn't do it.
Walks slowly to the bed, lifting the razored knife in one hand, her other hand moving slowly to the sheet to pull it back. She does, slowly, but there's only a deep pool of blood. Tiny bubbles rise in the pool. Her fingertips move to touch its surface, slowly, cautiously, but just as she does, a tiny razor-clawed hand grabs her wrist with a terrific music sting.
God damn, those baby babies are getting so real.
Wider angle as it tries to pull her into the bed. Kristen screams, resisting, pulling back, tugging the horrid little thing out of the pool. Low angle as she raises it out with a strength of sheer determination, and we see the infant Freddy Krueger, fresh from the womb,
I have the power.
fresh from matricide, its life force stretching out before it. It looks old and wizened. Wizened spelled with a Z.
It's fucking Yoda. A twisted Yoda.
Even as a baby,
that
strange,
can be used.
monstrous, grotesque, it clutches Kirsten as she takes it and slams it against a wall, trying to hammer the life out of it. It screams, but it's crying or
She's beating the shit out of a baby.
This is what's creepy. It screams, but is it crying or laughing?
I don't know.
And her efforts seem to have little effect. Finally, it lets go of her. She stabs it, impaling it with the blades. The blades it will never grow up to make. That done, Kirsten backs away, quaking with her effort, crying. Afterwards, Neil and her are lying in each other's arms outside.
That's weird. She beat the shit out of a baby, and she's like, "Where's the money, Lebowski? Where's the money, Lebowski?"
Basil says, "I gotta break a thumb. I gotta break a thumb."
Fucking stab you, bitch. Next time, send your message. Owe me money, pay me money. Heisenberg getting paid.
J.D. Becker.
Oh, fuck.
I don't like the end of it, though.
Well, the ending was weird because the ending goes pretty much like this. After Freddy Krueger is killed as an infant, he's dead, he's gone, he's never coming back. Pretty much what Wes Craven wanted to do.
Actually, no, I was wrong about that because remember the ending with the house.
Yeah, well, I mean, there is a possibility there. It's left there for the imagination.
You'd left to think, oh, she killed him as a baby.
But the very ending of the movie is, Kirsten has gone to college at some point and grown up and is visiting Neil.
She went to Catholic school.
I got really weird for a second. I was like, are they
fucking?
Are they doing that?
Yeah, like, damn, Neil.
Are you doing that?
I know you like to get
what
down
are you
like
doing,
that, dog? Neil doesn't give a fuck.
Get learnt. But yeah, so but no, she just visiting an old friend, and Neil's like, oh, I mean, I really want you to go right now, and I got this dream. I can't wait to get to sleep. And she's like,
wait. Let's just do it this way, man. You be Neil, and I'll be Kirsten.
Oh,
are you ready?
okay.
Come on.
All right.
Okay. All right.
Well, you have to read the.
Okay, here we go.
Okay. So okay.
You're Neil.
Okay.
Neil and Kirsten.
Okay. Let me get a.
In the future.
Okay. So Catholic school didn't turn out to be so bad after all.
I went first because Daddy.
No, you have to do it. Yeah.
I went first because Daddy.
No, don't do that.
I want to do it like that.
Like Shez.
That's what I want to say. I went first because Daddy wanted me to, and because like Mom and everything. It actually turned out to be kind of what I needed.
Oh, she fucking died.
And upstate is so beautiful.
All right. Yes, it is.
She sips her wine. An awkward silence. Are you still on sabbatical?
Fucking bitch, dude. I really wanted Freddy to splice you up. Yeah. Well, it was great seeing you. I'm just a little tired tonight.
She takes a little breath, then decides to ask the question. Do you still like say each other?
I'm reading this exactly how it is.
Neil tries to keep a straight
I know,
face, but then a little smile escapes his eyes.
Yeah, we do. In fact, I'm seeing her tonight. That's why I'm in such a rush to get to sleep.
She knows it. The actual line is Kirsten nods. She knows it. Will you say hi? She hesitates by the door, seeing something OC.
Off camera, yeah. So you have to look off camera.
She smiles. Is that Joey's?
Well, I mean, they were gonna throw it out. I rescued it. A souvenir.
Bye.
Bye, bitch!
She
Get the fuck out at my home.
Neil watches her go, then she turns off the light and goes upstairs. Pan to the model in the darkness. It's the popsicle stick house that Joey was making in this movie. Dark itself, covert. We hold on to it a long while. Then, in one of its tiny windows, a light blinks on, and we hear the scrape of steel against steel. Fade to black rolling.
I think that's amazing.
So we can't actually say what we were saying before is that he wanted to end it because he was the one who left it open for sequels.
But he did write this with somebody else, right?
Yeah, Bruce Wagner.
So Bruce Wagner may have been like, hey, let's kind of leave a little linchpin here.
Yes.
Maybe. I don't know. Maybe Wes Craven was like, it was a really great story and we could end it that way. But I think that in some way, though, maybe it was the other guy because if you remember in Nightmare 1, he fucking hated that scene with the arm coming through the glass, that fake ass shit. Yeah. He didn't want to end it that way.
Well, look, I mean, Wes Craven didn't have a problem with sequels like other creators did. I think his problem was he even looked at the Nightmare 2 script and he just thought it was inferior, as he said. I think if they would have let him write it and do it his own way, he might have come back to do it.
Yeah.
But his problem mainly, actually, when you watch the what's the name of the documentary?
Never Sleep Again.
Yeah, when you watch the documentary, Wes Craven says he was like, I had to fight so much with Bob Shaye, the producer, who he wanted to have his imprint on the film so badly, and I was so tired of fighting. And then, the New Line didn't make any money off the first film. So to make money, they had to sell a bunch of it off to other companies. And he was like, I didn't want to get involved with a franchise where I had to work for somebody. That's not why I got into this business. And respect to Wes Craven for that.
Fuck yeah, he's badass.
But he did agree to come back and write it. He would have directed it if he didn't have another another property going on. But he didn't want to work for a bunch of companies, and he didn't want to have the fights with Bob Shaye he was having constantly. Which I don't blame Bob Shaye either, man. Bob Shaye made this happen when nobody else would.
Well,
so
the thing is, it's one of those we weren't there kind of moments. Yeah. But I do think it's funny. Like they did keep that ending in the original one with the light coming on, but I mean, reading in the script the way that if you hadn't heard this the steel on steel kind of scrape, you might think that Neil just is fucking her in that bedroom. Like you just went to sleep, the light came on, it's like, hey Neil, you're here, let's get down to it. The script itself, honestly, man, I don't know.
I think I'd take the script over.
I think so because the script is great and it's amazing. The film Nightmare on Elm Street 3 is one of the best out there. It really is one of the better Nightmare movies that ever came. But I feel like when you watch it and then you read the script, you're always going to watch it like there's something missing. It didn't really have that sauce or that panache or that kick in your nards that you need. And this is one of those films that needed everything it needed. I mean, it needed all the extra for it. And I think this script would have provided all those extra layerings that would have made the movie even more phenomenal. Like, to me, the way we'll do our rankings later, but this could have easily with this script backing it and with the special effects, and if they had pumped some more money into it and given Wes Craven what he wanted, and maybe Wes Craven himself coming back to direct it, gotta say, man, like it could have easily been number one of all of them. Like I really do. I mean,
I don't think it would have been above for me.
Well, I mean, if Wes Craven had directed it with everything else that was going on behind the scenes, like I don't know. I mean,
the script to me had a lot of problems too. Like the movie had problems. I like the movie, but I've always hated the last act where it goes all fucking. Yeah, I'm bad, and like that whole thing. Like,
oh my god,
we have powers in our dream. Like I just always hated.
I don't have any power in my dreams.
Me either. Like who?
Me.
No one fucking does.
Fuck.
But I never liked that part of the movie. But the
I always try when I'm falling off a cliff, like go gadget wings, and nothing happens.
The kids on Suicide Watch, the whole mental institution stuff, I love that stuff about that movie. I thought it was so good, and that's what makes it one of the best sequels in the franchise. This movie, to me, took away a little bit of the fantastical effects, still had some of its own that I didn't love, but it added a layer of darkness and meanness to Freddy that I feel like some of the movies lacked a little bit, and I really liked that a lot. So to me, the script would have been better if you put a gun to my head, but the movie was still good.
Yeah, the Nightmare 3 was one of the better sequels out there, like I said, and the fact... This is just the extra dressing on the sauce.
Yeah.
Or on the steak.
Yeah.
It's that seasoning that you need. However, it didn't happen that way. And nonetheless, we got what we got. And I still enjoy it. But reading this script and knowing what could have been and what should have been, it really makes you like, fuck, man. Like, they could have done so much more with that movie if they had just gone a different way or maybe somehow got the money to do it. Now, nonetheless... Like you said, there were problems in this, and there are things about this script that you would have been like, translated on film may not have worked. I mean, if they didn't have the right budget for it, if they tried to do it with practical effects, it might have come off as really fucking cheesy and just bad overall.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, great fucking script. Wes Craven, again, showcases why he is one of the masters of horror that he is. And I read this late at night, and it fucking scared me tits off a little bit. I mean, there were some things about it. I'm like, wow, That's scary and dark and cruel. I'm liking it, but at the same time, I can't sleep.
Yeah.
But that's the way it is for my sex life.
I've seen it. What? But no, it was a good script. It was a fun review. Thank you, man, Eric, for sending it to us. That's fucking awesome, dude. It was a really fun script to go through and review. What do you guys think? Would you rather had Wes Craven's script, or would you have rather had the movie? Comment down below. Let us know. We love your fucking faces. And if you're new to the channel, click that subscribe button and get some goddamn wham up in you.
Fuck yeah.
Oh, I have to pee so fucking bad. I can barely walk.
I gotta pee too. I guess we're playing swords.
You what?
We watched a movie. Yeah. We watched a movie. We watched it. We watched a movie. Yeah. You know what? We did a review. We watched a movie. We watched a movie.